Estrada, and I am one of the associate therapists at House of Ruth. I work with survivors to decrease the negative impact that domestic violence has on their mental health. House of Ruth is dedicated to preventing domestic violence and ensuring the safety and well-being of those impacted by it. On behalf of House of Ruth's board, staff, and volunteers, we want to welcome you to our 60th annual Vigil. This year, we're taking our Vigil virtual. I want to recognize the staff and volunteers that work so hard to prepare this special day. We'd like to thank all of you. Without your support, we could not carry out the critical work that we do. Our vision is a violence-free world where every home is a safe home. This year presented a lot of challenges for survivors and their families. As crime rates dip in response to the COVID-19 global pandemic, domestic violence rates are rising tremendously for victims in abusive relationships. In many cases, the stay-at-home order is the worst-case scenario, and in lethal situations means life or death for individuals and families living in abusive homes. In addition, the nation continues to mourn and protest the murder of George Floyd and all the lives lost from police brutality, particularly against Black community. Survivors with marginalized identities are left to wonder if the system's meant to keep all of us safe or will truly protect them. This October Domestic Violence Awareness Month is a call to action. Now more than ever, due to the global pandemic, more and more of us are making huge changes to our daily routines. The new realities of working from home, temporary unemployment, schooling of children, and lack of physical contact. Adapting to these lifestyle changes, such as these, managing the fear of contracting the virus, and living in a critical time is challenging for all of us. With this, many survivors are reporting specific negative impacts on their mental health and well-being, which is associated with increase in depression, anxiety, distress, and self-esteem. Now more than ever, domestic violence is a public health crisis. We all have the power to change it, and it starts with you. Join us throughout the month of October and every day after as we lift our voices to honor the lives lost to domestic violence and lift up the survivors standing with us today. Each of us has the power to change someone's life by listening, believing, and lifting our voices in unison to end domestic violence.
Hi, this is Mayor Tim Sandoval. As all of you know, since March, it's been a really difficult time, not only in this country, not only in California, but in the city of Pomona. Our families have struggled. People have had difficulty with food, with rent. Our community has been challenged during this most difficult time. And a group that has been particularly challenged is those who have suffered domestic violence with all the stress that we see happening in our communities. And that's why it's so important to have an organization like House of Ruth to help people in their greatest time of need, particularly at this moment when we know so many families are suffering and the stress and the pressure gets to families, and unfortunately terrible things happen, but people need help and they need support, and they need places like House of Ruth. I want to thank the House of Ruth for everything they do for women, for our children. I know it's not exclusively women, but it's primarily women who suffer as a result of domestic violence. And so as you come together today to celebrate the leadership and celebrate the House of Ruth, I wanted to say thank you to all of you who are involved in this effort to put an end to domestic violence. So with that, I say continue to support the House of Ruth. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Renee Young, and I am the president of the board for the House of Ruth. I'd like to thank you all for joining us this evening on our Candlelight Vigil. This is our opportunity to honor those we've lost to domestic violence and to celebrate survivors who now live abuse-free. I am so proud of the work that we do here at the House of Ruth, and I am committed that we continue to provide services to those impacted by domestic violence until we one day live in a world where families can live domestic free. Again, thank you for your support. Good night.
Hello, my name is Gabriela Flores. I am a case manager here at House of Ruth. What interested me in working in the domestic violence field is working directly with survivors, advocating for them, being a support system for them, and helping them to understand that what has happened to them is not their fault. Working during a global pandemic has been challenging but rewarding. Challenging because this field requires that in-person connection that COVID just does not allow. However, it's been rewarding because we are working with survivors in a more intimate and individual basis every day to complete their goals, to help complete their goals. And when they do complete their goals, it just makes that feeling so much more rewarding. When a survivor understands that they have their power and that nobody can take that away from them, that is just so rewarding.
Led me to work with DV survivors as myself. CODA means what? Child of deaf adult, and I realized that there's access for deaf direct services not really have. So my passion is to provide services in full ASL, and important to know cultural part, and really hard for DV to realize what can I do to leave safely. That's the most dangerous part, is when someone's ready to leave that relationship, but it takes a lot of planning, processing, and access services is so important. Imagine for someone whose language is not English, then going to agency to receive help, need to fully understand what's being communicated. So mine is I want to have more services, access for deaf, hard of hearing, deaf blind, late deafened. That will help the community. Now, COVID, the impact DV experience increase with now stay home shelter. Now most people live with a person who harms and now can't call for help or access services because that person's on holiday. It's a bit difficult. Now, other part is most agencies have to close or change the way they provide services. That's all internet. What happens if that person not have internet or have phone or not have language access? So believe that's hard for a person who speaks English hearing to barriers with COVID. Imagine death.
Hola, mi nombre es Lorena. Hoy tengo la oportunidad de contarles de una grandiosa experiencia que he tenido en mi vida. Hoy puedo decir grandiosa, gracias a la valorosa contribución de Casa Ruth. Casa Ruth es una organización con bastante valor para todas las personas que hemos sufrido violencia doméstica. Esta organización se encarga de ayudarte mental y emocionalmente. Las personas que te ayudan están bastante preparadas, profesional y humanamente. Tienen la facilidad de conectarse en ti para que puedas sacar ese sentimiento, ese pensamiento, recuerdos que dañan tu vida por la violencia doméstica que has recibido de parte de ser amados. El 90% de violencia doméstica es por el esposo, o en algunos casos por los padres, o por los hijos. Pero el caso que sea, Casa Ruth puede ayudarte. En mi caso no sabía que existían estas organizaciones tan valorosas para los seres humanos. Y algunas veces tienen miedo de pedir ayuda pensando que va a ser en vano. Pero en realidad estamos equivocados o equivocadas. Porque la experiencia que he tenido con Casa Ruth es exitosamente grandiosa. Han creído en mí, en mi familia, han forjado una barrera bastante fuerte de sentimientos, pensamientos llenos de amor, respeto hacia mí y hacia los demás. Mis hijos están alimentándose de ejemplos bastante buenos y excelentes para su formación en la vida y logren ser unos grandes seres humanos con valores, respeto, amor, todas las cosas que los forjen a ser excelentes personas. En realidad, el corazón y la mente se alimentan cada día para que cada ser humano es bastante importante llenar de amor, respeto, conocimiento, educación, paciencia, todos los valores y cosas que hacen grandes seres humanos. Casa Ruth se encarga de sacar esos sentimientos que dañan tu vida, pensamientos, y te alimentan de todas las necesidades que carecemos cuando hemos sido víctimas de violencia doméstica. Sé cuán doloroso es creer o pensar que eres una persona inservible, mala, todas las cosas que puede decir o golpes que puede hacer tu abusador. Sí, te hace creer que eres culpable, que no sirves para nada, que nadie te ama, que llegas al fondo y sientes que estás sola, que eres lo peor para tus hijos y para todos. Pero Casa Ruth se encarga de mostrar la verdad a cada una de las personas que llegan a pedir ayuda, alimentando su mente y su corazón de amor, respeto, conocimiento, valores, paciencia y todas las cosas que te hacen mejor ser humano. Ahora mis hijos y yo estamos felices, en paz, fuera de tanto maltrato, de abuso, porque he aprendido a reconocer la verdad, el verdadero amor, la paz que tenemos que dar a nuestras familias. Gracias, Casa Ruth, por ayudarnos a realmente ver la verdad, a que merecemos ser felices y merecemos el amor verdadero. Gracias. Dios los bendiga, Casa Ruth.
Hi, my name is Pat Bell, and I'm the Executive Director for House of Ruth. I'd like to share with you why I'm committed to this work. I grew up in a house with domestic violence. Every day I experienced fear, worry, and anxiety over what was happening at home. I understand firsthand the long-lasting impact of trauma on children who have witnessed domestic violence. But I found a new start with an amazing foster family and the support of a social worker named Marcia. Marcia helped me see that there was hope for a positive future. Marcia made a deep impact on me, and when I was 15 years old, I wanted to do the same kind of work that Marcia was doing and help other people in situations like mine. That led me to work in the domestic violence field and at House of Ruth. Domestic Violence Awareness Month is a time for us to celebrate the success of the survivors who come to us for support and leave here with hope. It's also a time for us to acknowledge and reflect on those that lost their lives this year at the hands of their abuser. I hope that you will all take some time today to think about those people and honor them. I'd like to thank everyone responsible for helping put this video together. Thank you, Mayor Sandoval. We so appreciate the community partnership with the City of Pomona and the wonderful community of Pomona. Thank you to our board president, Renee Young. We appreciate your leadership, and the board of directors is amazing. I'd like to thank our staff and volunteers. Your creativity, insight, and dedication to this work is an inspiration to me. Many of you worked behind the scenes to coordinate and edit this video. Thank you. I'd like to thank the survivors who show up every day for support and leave here with hope. And finally, I'd like to thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for continuing to support the work that we do here at House of Ruth. We are deeply grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you.